Celtic's stutter against St Johnstone may only have been 2 points dropped for the champions, but some fans believe it's a sign of something more worrying. The demands of domestic dominance and European exertions are being held up as a reason for failing to fire on all cylinders. Dennis Bruce Bishop-Briggs said, "I wonder if the volume of games played by Celtic are beginning to take the toll. The human body can only take so much." Image PA Celtic ace Kieran Tierney is an international treasure in the mould of Danny McGrain, insists Gordon Strachan. Look at the injuries they have had to key players. Look at those 25 minutes against Astana when the shape went AWOL. The first half against St Johnstone showed them up as a bit leg-weary. You can only go to the well so often before it runs dry. Celtic strike me as being on that particular verge. Barry McMullen, Glasgow, said Celtic's unbeaten previous campaign meant there was little chance to rest players and some of them looked to be running out of steam. The collapse in Astana and a lethargic display against Saints is a concern and the squad needs to be rotated more. Craig Gordon said it's time to put rivalry aside and spare a thought for Rangers fans. Image SNS Group. It must be hard watching Celtic win an invincible treble and pick up £70 million playing the best teams in the world, while the biggest names declare Celtic Park the best atmosphere in the Champions League. They must wonder what they've done to deserve this. John Scott Grassmore said Brendan Rodgers asked where the long ball had got Scottish football for the last 20 years. How about a UEFA Cup final, beating teams like Blackburn and Liverpool en route? 3 times qualifiers for the last 16 of the Champions League, beating Barcelona, who were on an 8-game winning run. So before Brendan gets too condescending about the Scottish game, he needs to acknowledge he has a bit to go to emulate fellow Northern Irishmen Neil Lennon and Martin O'Neill and Scotland's Gordon Strachan. Rangers boss Pedro Caixinha stands by claim he has best squad in Scotland and tells Chris Sutton, "I don't care about Celtic, I care about Rangers." Alfie Mullen, London, said Celtic fans really are getting delusional now. One guy said in the hotline that they will get second place in the Champions League group, but I think they'll be really lucky if going into the last game in the group, they are looking for the second point. Robert Frew, Glasgow, said, "Does anybody know what Pedro Caixinha is on about at his press conferences? He's starting to give me a headache." And few unhappy Hearts supporters. Up next, Bill Waddell, East Lothian, said, "I've probably attended my last game at Tynecastle unless the ridiculous strategy thought up by Craig Levein of appointing an inexperienced potluck manager is reversed or reconsidered. The fans of the third biggest club in the country deserve better and are being shortchanged by the continual appointments of untried trainee managers. They should be learning the trade at lesser clubs before making the step up in class." Image SNS Group. It's embarrassing that the club are interviewing out-of-work failed managers rather than raise the bar and at least trying to attract a successful manager. I would urge Anne Budge to get on the phone to Perth and ask to speak to Tommy Wright and end this debacle. Dougie Mackay, Crew, said hotline caller Phil Spriggs says he watched Newcastle v Huddersfield. He said it was dross and moaned about commercialism. My point to Phil is, if you're that bothered, cancel your subscription. The fight of the century didn't convince everyone. Tam Watson, Saltcoats, said the Floyd Mayweather fight against Conor McGregor was a sham, but once again pay-per-view has fleeced a gullible public. It was so fake and Mayweather could have taken out his opponent whenever he wanted, but he dragged it on until the 10th round to try and kid people on it was a genuine contest. And finally, Joe Wilson, Speenbridge. It was a huge disappointment to hear that England lost the Rugby World Cup final. How are we going to get over it? I'm delighted we won't have to hear incessantly about the success had they won it. Hibs boss Neil Lennon slams Mark Warburton for trying to unsettle John McGinn, who he values at £5 million.